Okay, guys, so today we're going to learn finally how to put Vata back into balance. So if you think that Vata is wind, you want all the characteristics that are opposite of wind. So Vata, to be back to balance, it needs warmth. So it needs warmth in its body, it needs warmth in its environment, and it needs warmth in its food. So warming spices, cinnamon, clove, even a little bit of the peppers. They want to have very warm foods, never eat anything iced or cold, warm beverages such as tea, warm environment, so always never be cold, using clothes that keep you warm, keeping your feet warm is very, very important for the Vatas. Always using hats and stuff when you go outside and it's too cold so you don't lose heat over your head. Warmth also in when you're using oils, you kind of warm it up in your hands and all that. Okay, so Vata always also needs moisture. So moisture in the form of food. So the foods have to be not very dry. So if you're going to eat nuts and seeds that are very dry, you want them soaked, pre-soaked. You want your foods to have a lot of broth, a lot of sauces, a lot of moisture in them. So that would be better for Vatas. Moisture also in our skin. So drinking, hydrating a lot, and putting moisturizer. So Vata also needs the oil quality. So they need oil in their skin, oil in their scalp, oil in their food. So ghee butter and olive oil and flaxseed oil and sesame oil in the food. Okay, very more heavy food. So Vata needs heaviness as well. So weighted blankets and heavier foods and stuff like that. So what would a daily routine for the Vata be? And this is what Vata needs. It needs structure and daily routine. So a person that is very typically Vata, they're very they can't focus and they're very spacey and they're all over the place. And so they need grounding. They need grounding practices, and it starts with having a daily routine. So they need a schedule for absolutely everything. So they need to have a schedule for eating. Vatas cannot skip a meal. Vatas cannot fast for a long period of time. I'm never talking about, when I say fasting, I'm never talking about the 12 hours between dinner and breakfast. That's not a fast. But anything more than that, like a 24-hour fast or skipping a whole meal, that would be a little complicated for Vata. So Vata, if they do want to do fasting, which is good for your health seasonally, they can do mono diets. So Vatas need to keep a daily routine of going to bed and waking up at the same time. So Vata waking up times should be around 6 a.m. because it's when the Vata period would end, and then it would start Kapha period. Vatas are the only dosha that can sleep late until 6. The other ones, as you will see later in the other videos, that they need to wake up even earlier. So as soon as the Vata wakes up, he needs to practice something calming and grounding and centering. So the best breath work for Vatas is the alternate breath. So you would inhale from one nose, close it, exhale from this one, inhale, close, exhale, and inhale here, and just do that for like 2-3 minutes. Nothing complicated. So to really calm you down, it needs to be at least 8 breaths per minute. So that means you have to breathe very slowly. So inhale slow, hold at the top, unlock, exhale very slow, hold at the bottom, inhale, very slow. So you would do any kind of centering meditation, calming routine, and then you would do morning routine in the bathroom. Going to the bathroom, scraping your tongue, brushing your teeth, oil pulling, and you would use sesame oil for Vatas. Do head and body. If you don't have time to do head and body, just do the top of your head, your hands and your feet, and your ears. But ideally, since Vatas tend to have very dry skin, it is good for them to do Abhyanga, the self-oiling, every day on the whole body. And then it's important for you to go do some exercise, some warming, some stretching, something very, very grounding. And then from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., you would do some form of exercise. And that is because that is Kapha time, day of the day. So that's when you tend to be a little bit more sluggish and you want to fight off that very deep, heavy energy of Kapha. You want to do it with movement. You want to oppose it with movement. So for Vatas, the movement is gentle yoga, Tai Chi, walking and stretching and stuff like that. So Vatas can work out with weights. They just cannot do very vigorous movements, which they love, right? If you're a Vata, you always want to be on the move and doing HIIT workouts and power yoga, and you're all up, all over that, but that's not good for you. So yes, you can do it sometimes when you're not out of balance, but when this is a video for when your Vata is out of balance. You can have a Vata constitution and be balanced, and then that's okay, that you can do anything you want. But when you're trying to fight off an aggravation and an imbalance, then you want to do very grounding. So then Ayurveda says that you should stop at 50%, workout at 50% capacity for Vatas, and stop when you have a mild sweat and you have the first sign of dryness in your mouth. So your tongue starts to get dry, it's time to stop working out. And then you would shower after that to wash off that oil, wash off that sweat, and then you would drink warm water with some lime after you already scraped your tongue and swished the oil and cleaned, right? Because you don't want to drink all that toxin. And you can drink some ginger or lemon tea as well. Then you want to have a nourishing breakfast around 8 a.m. for Vatas. And then you would have your lunch between 11:30 and 12:30. So around that peak Agni fire digestive point, which is during Pitta time of the day. So that's when you want to have your lunch between 11:30 and 12:30. And then you want to have your dinner between 6 and 7. So Vatas are also the people that need to go to bed the earliest of the 3 doshas. So they do have to have their dinner a little bit earlier than the other ones. So between 6 and 7 p.m., that's when you should be finished with your dinner. So Vatas need to stimulate their Agni, their digestive fire, because it tends to be very weak. And they have IBS, and they have a lot of gas, and they have a lot of bloating. So they need to, eat slowly, be mindful, chew a lot, and use digestive teas, which are ginger, cinnamon, cardamom, fennel. 30 minutes before the meals, they can take a little bit of tea, 6 ounces of tea before the meals. That is great to turn on that fire. And again, Vatas are not supposed to be drinking anything iced or cold, especially when they're aggravated. Ideally never, but especially when they're aggravated, because that just quenches all the fire, digestive fire, and it makes digestion really, really bad. Then you want to, during your workday, pause frequently to look at the horizon and breathe. It can be just a breath. Vatas need to chill. So they need to stop and maybe walk around in nature a little bit. If you're in an office job and you can take a 15-minute break for lunch, take your lunch outside, be in the sun, be in the warmth, maybe take a little nature walk. Anything that is calming and centering, whatever it is for you, if it's coloring, if it's praying, whatever it is. And you need to keep a consistent work schedule. So Vatas want to multitask, and they actually don't get much accomplished like that. So you need to kind of plan out your day. And ideally, because Vatas are very anxious, and when they're aggravated, they're even worse. They have insomnia, and they can't concentrate. So before you go to bed, when you turn off all your appliances, and you can just write it on paper, planning your day the next day and make it all nice and organized. And this makes Vatas very calm. Trying to be in nature a lot is very grounding. Trying to do grounding practices with being barefoot in the sand, in the earth, or the grass if it's warm. You do not want to walk around in the house in cold tile or cold flooring without socks for Vatas. Okay, you don't want the Vata feet to be cold. It's actually uncomfortable usually for Vata. For me, it's very uncomfortable. The best fragrances, so essential oils that are calming and grounding: jasmine, eucalyptus, rose, sandalwood, bergamot, lavender is really for every dosha. So definitely planning your day, sticking to a schedule, doing grounding practices. Don't overstimulate the brain with news and work or study after 8 p.m. So it's time to start after 9 p.m. So you got to start chilling. And then Vatas need to go to bed before 10. So up to 10 o'clock, they need to be in bed, turning down. So a little bit more focused on diets: warm spices and warm foods that are cooked in moisture. Salty, sweet, and sour flavors is good for Vata. So again, salty, sweet, and sour is good. Drizzle oil and ghee on everything. You want to avoid very spicy foods, like very hot, dry, and raw. So raw salads, not a good thing for an imbalanced Vata. A healthy Vata can have raw salads as long as they balance it with something warm on their plate in that same meal, and some warm tea and stuff like that. So like I said, the fasting is a mono diet. So I want to give you a sample breakfast. It would be like a warm oatmeal with some almond milk, with bananas, or some warmed apples with some cinnamon on it and a boiled egg. Lunch could be rice with chicken cooked in coconut milk. So you always cooked like a curry, not too spicy though. Steamed veggies with ghee and olive oil. At dinner, they can have like a creamy mushroom chicken topped pasta or chicken soup. Snacks can be sweet fruits such as bananas, figs, apricots, baked. If you're gonna eat apple and pear, bake them first or put them in the microwave or do them in a pan or whatever. Put cinnamon on it and make it very warming. And that was it. So the best yoga for Vatas is a very grounding and gentle practice, but they can go a little bit more vigorous as long as they're in tune, paying attention if they're not overexerting. So they can also weight lift, and that would be fine. Just really pay attention to the dryness of the mouth and just how you kind of feel if you're starting to feel anxious. And another thing that can aggravate Vatas is caffeine. So really, meaning if you're a healthy Vata, you can have it. If you are imbalanced, maybe it's a time for you to fast caffeine a little bit and just chill. All right, that was it.